Good morning, everyone. We are the reporter number 3, and today we will be discuss the chapter 3, which is specific issues in science, technology, and society. Lesson 1 and Lesson 2. For Lesson 1, Information Age, and Lesson 2, the Gene Therapy. Lesson 1 will be reported by Erica Reyes and Jobelin Pasig.
So, information technology. Next. The information age is considered a historic period in the 21st century, characterized by the rapid shift from traditional industry, it is also called computer age, and the new media age. It is marked by a very fast growth in communication and information technology. This age holds a significant influence as educators and learners. The inventions of the computer which gave people access to information with the touch of a button. The internet has changed society into homebodies and individuals who do everything from the comfort of their homes. People do their tasks only such as shopping, paying bills, working, education, entertainment, and ordering food. So, what is information? Information is the knowledge that we get about someone or something. It is a fact or details about the subject. So, in the other hand, information is the communication or reception of knowledge. Dito, mas napapadali ang ating mga gawain. Tulad na lamang ng pag-shopping, instead na pupunta tayo sa mall to buy things, we download apps from the Play Store like Shopee, Lazada, etc. para mag-order ng mga gusto nating bibilhin. And we pay our bills through this app or with the use of our smartphones. The information age is a development of it is a historical development, is considered a historic period in the 21st century, gaya nga ng sinabi ko kanina, and also called the computer digital age and the new media age because it was associated with the development of computers. So in this era or in this age, the information age, dito na umunlad ang mga iba't ibang teknolohiya na ating ginagamit ngayon. This era brought about a time period in which people could access information and knowledge easily. So in this era, mas napapadali ang pag-access natin ng information and knowledge in one click with the use of our smartphones and any kinds of technologies. Clyde Shannon. Clyde Shannon is regarded as the father of the information age. He founded information theory with a landmark paper. He is a American mathematician and electrical engineer. So, dahil kay Clyde Shannon, nagsimula ang lahat kung bakit nabuo. Here are some pioneers who belong to this period: Alexander Graham Bell and Blaise Pascal. Alexander Graham Bell is a Scottish-born inventor, scientist, and engineer who invented first practical telephone. So he invented the first practical telephone to communicate with other people. And Blaise Pascal is a French mathematician, physicist, inventor, philosopher. He is the famous for Pascal's calculator. So he invented calculator na nakakatulong sa atin to divide and multiply numbers or to compute numbers. Steve Jobs founded iOS Apple brand. So siya yung naka-discover or naka-invent ng smartphone ngayon na sikat na iPhone. And Bill Gates is the one of the richest man in the whole world. These are the 4 periods of the information age. Pre-mechanical age is the time between 3000 BC to 450 AD. So in this era or in this age, it is the earliest age of technology. And this is the first humans when the first humans started communicating in this period of pre-mechanical. For example, the petroglyphs. Petroglyphs, it is a way of communication ng mga sinaunang tao noon. Like, ginuguhit nila sa bato ang kanilang mga kunwari story or mapa ng kanilang pinuntahan or pupuntahan, or ginadrawing nila ito sa bato. Or kung gusto nila ng mga may ikinikip na mga treasures, like kung ilan ba yung bilang ng animals na meron sila, hayop na meron sila, mga ari-arian, isinusulat nila yon sa bato or sa cave para ma-secure yung or para malaman ng mga kasamahan nila yung mga ari-arian din ng kanilang mga ninuno. And second is the mechanical. It is the time between 1450 to 1840. And in this mechanical age, a lot of technologies were developed in this era. Due to an explosion of interest in computation and information. Example, they invented the slide ruler or an analog computer for multiplying and dividing. Example nun is yung abacus. And next is the electromechanical. It is the time between 1840 to 1940. These are the beginnings of telecommunication. So, dito na yung mga sinaunang computer na kung saan nakaka-communicate na yung mga tao through Morse code. With the use of Morse code. Alam nyo, yung Morse code, yung para siyang barcode na ini-encode nila sa computer, ganyan, para ipadala sa kabilang lugar, or kung may gusto silang ipaabot na mga information about sa mga kasama nila, Morse code ang ginagamit nila. And last is the electronic or information. It is the time between 1940 up to present or until now. Electronic information age is also known as the computer age or new media era. It is the industrial revolution of information and technology. Dito na nagsimulang umusbong ang mga bagong teknolohiya nating ginagamit ngayon, like the smartphones, laptops, and other gadgets, the machineries, yung mga bagong imbento na mga technologies like robotics, ganyan. Na kung saan mas napapadali natin ang pag-access ng informations na kinakailangan natin and knowledge na makukuha natin sa mga bagong technology na to. Types of computers. This will be reported by Jobelin Pasig.
Types of computer. Computers are associated with numerous terms and description. Most people suggest the dimensions, intended use, or the computer's power. While the term computer can apply to virtually any devices that has a microprocessor in it, most people think of a computer as a device that receives input from the user through a mouse or keyboard, processes in some fashion, and presents the result on the screen. So, types of computer are the example, mainframe computer, supercomputer, workstation computer, the personal computer,
laptop or tablet and smartphones. Next.
So for the personal computer or PC had become a widespread by end of 1980s. They can become connected to local or national networks. Through a device called a modern individual users could list their computers a wealth of information using conventional phone lines. So there are maraming kinds ng computers. Isa na doon yung personal computers. So this personal computers usually sa home, sa bahay lang, or sa mga sa iyo mismo pag mamay-ari mo. So dito, mas malaki yung storage na ma-storage mo sa mga documents mo or sa mga data mo. Next. So for the internet was developed during 1970s. In early days, it was used by the scientists to communicate with other scientists. The development of fiber optic hastened the rate of sending message. So through internet, maraming gamit ang internet nowadays. Tumutulong ito to communicate to our loved ones kahit na malayo sa kanila. So mapapabilis yung information natin papunta sa kanila. Also, yung internet, tumutulong din sa atin para mas mapadali ang ating transportation. Kasi, di ba, mayroong mga application na ida-download mo lang and kailangan yung ginagamitan ng internet para isang contact lang is pupunta na siya doon sa specific area or kung saan ka na lugar. Also, yung internet, tumutulong din ito sa studies or kapag mag-apply ka sa trabaho or magbili ka ng tickets through internet and magbili ka ng mga personal items mo or gamit mo. So, nagagamit ito, internet, like online shopping, like that. Next. So, World Wide Web. Itong World Wide Web, in the 1990s, the World Wide Web was developed mainly for commercial purposes. New services were created to sell products, so now airline tickets, hotel reservation, books, and even cars and houses can be purchased online. So itong World Wide Web, even though nasa bahay ka tapos or nasa Philippines ka and then may gusto kang items, example nasa ibang bansa like sa America. So kapag yung bibilhan mo na shop is meron silang tinatawag na page. So, i-type mo lang doon yung World Wide Web using the internet. So, magpa-pop up na doon yung page na pupuntahan mo para makabay ka ng products na gusto mo. So, next. So, for the living in information age. So, we can see this in effect and impacts. So, the impact of IT has been numerous on various domains, including education. Computers and information they process and stores have transformed every aspect of the society. IT has become a part of our everyday lives. There have been tremendous changes in the way people live, work, and play over the 3 decades. So, yung mga IT, sila yung naga-compose or gumagawa ng computer and umaayos din ng computers. So, malaki yung tulong nila kasi kung wala sila, tayo na walang skills na umag-ayos ng computers natin is hindi natin iyon magagawa. So, through IT, nakakabuo sila ng another networks, computers, and mobile and wireless devices. So, tumutulong din sila para makagawa ng or maka-invent ng new technologies like robots and satellites, videotex, and cable televisions. So, the technological innovation and entrepreneurship have been the key players in the changes that we experiences.
Some of the advantages of information technology. 1. Globalization brought the world closer together, led to sharing information more quickly and efficient, and enable countries to share ideas and information with each other. So, sa globalization is, example is sa Google. once na nag-enter ka ng word na gusto mong malaman, is meron na siya agad lumalabas na ideas about doon sa word na in-enter mo doon. Because of the help of sharing information in the site. Second is communication. It has made communication cheaper, quicker, and more efficient. So, sa communication naman, hindi katulad noon na through writing is maabutan pa siya ng ilang months, ilang days bago makarating sa'yo. And ngayong generation naman is in just one click, pwede mo na ma-receive agad yung communication na gustong iparating sa'yo ng sender mo. Next is cost effectiveness. It has led to computerization of business processes and increased productivity that gave more profits, better pay, and working conditions. So in cost effectiveness is for example dito is the online selling, online shops like Shopee, ganyan, Lazada, etc. Next, creation of new jobs. It has to lead to the opening up of opportunity for computer programmers, system analysis, hardware and software developers, and web designers. So, in creation of new jobs, example dito is yung mga IT, mga creation of new jobs. It has led to opening up of opportunity for computer programmers, system analysis, hardware and software developers, and web designers. So, example dito is yung mga IT, mga online shopping like Shopee, Lazada, online palengke, and etc. So, next is information age has introduced changes in the different aspects of people's lives because of the following. First, emergence of online companies, creation of economically and stimulating businesses, more mature and educated people, and reshaping governments with new technologies. Next, summary. The information age, also known as the computer age, digital age, or new media age, is a historic period in the 21st century. The idea it upholds in that access to and the control of information is the defining characteristics of this current era in human civilization, the driving force behind changes and new options given to us in an innovation called Internet. New forms of communication were introduced, educational opportunities were greatly enhanced because of the wealth of knowledge now placed at the fingertips.
So, good day, ma'am. This is Rasmia Salam. So, this is my report, gene therapy. So, what is gene therapy? It is an experimental technique that uses genes to treat or prevent disease. It replaces a faulty gene or adds a new gene in an attempt to cure disease or improve your body's ability to fight disease. So, ang gene therapy, guys, is isa siyang experiment technique which is gumagamit ng gene or ginagamit yung gene para ma-prevent or to cure the disease. So, it replaces faulty gene or yung mga defect na gene, pinapalitan yung defect na gene or nag-a-add ng bagong gene para ma-prevent nga yung sakit or to cure that disease and also to improve or to boost your body's ability para labanan yung sakit na yon. So gene therapy is a promising treatment option for a number of diseases, including inherited disorders, some types of cancer, and certain viral infections. In the future, this technique may allow doctors to treat a disorder by inserting gene into a patient's cells instead of using drugs or surgery. So, in the future, ang gene therapy is maaari siyang ma-use or gamitin ng mga doktor instead of using drugs or operation or surgery. So, next is heredity. It is the passing of traits from parents to their offspring, either through asexual reproduction or sexual reproduction. So, ito yung gene na namamana natin sa ating mga parents or biological parents. This is the reason bakit natin sila kamukha, particularly sa sa ating pag-uugali or pag-uugaling meron tayo. So, next is understanding gene therapy. There are many factors that how one's genotype correlates to one's phenotype, physical manifestation. Among these are penetrance, expressivity, mosaicism, and X inactivation. So, maraming factors kung paano nagiging connected yung genotype ng isang tao sa ibang phenotype. By the way, ang genotype is an individual's collection of genes or yung genetic characteristic ng isang tao, while yung phenotype naman is physical characteristics ng tao. For example, meron kang brown eyes, ganyan. So, next is penetrance, a measure of how often a disease genotype correlates to the disease phenotype. For example, in a completely penetrant disease, every individual who is genetically positive for the disease would have clinical manifestation of said disease. For the disease with incomplete penetrance, some individuals who are genetically positive for that disease may be entirely asymptomatic. So, ang penetrance is, ito yung siya measure kung gaano nga ka-connected yung disease na genotype sa phenotype. And yung isang disease, pag kumpleto yung penetrant, completely penetrant disease or kumpleto nga yung process nung pag-penetrance doon is would have a clinical manifestation of say disease. Pag yung disease naman na yon is incomplete penetrance, it may cause asymptomatic or magiging asymptomatic yung disease niya, which is meron nga siyang sakit pero wala siyang maramdaman na symptoms or any sign nung sakit na yon. So, next, genetic engineering. It involves the removal of a desirable gene from a cell, adding it to the gene structure of a bacterial cell and replacing the recombinant DNA into the bacterial cell. The bacteria then have the capability to produce by the original animal or plant cell. So, engineering, ang main point lang dito is yung, for example, in this species, kukuha ng gene doon para i-add sa another na organism para yung organism na yon is magiging kamukha nung nais mo or yung magiging kamukha siya nung gusto mong phenotype ng isang organism na yon. Kumbaga, dito sa genetic engineering is they manipulated the gene or sila mismo yung magpapatakbo or mag-experiment sila para makagawa sila ng mga gusto nilang phenotype or physical characteristics. So next is, there are two different procedures using genetic engineering to cure human illness. First procedure is to insert foreign genetic material into the germline into sperm or eggs where they could be passed on to succeeding generations. So, dito sa first procedure, yung foreign genetic is i-insert siya through sa sperm or eggs para makapas makapas sa succeeding generations or maging kamukha nga nun. And second procedure is to use genetic engineering to insert foreign gene into somatic cells, onto any cells except sperm or eggs and their progenitors in an effort to correct some genetic defect. So, ang pinagkaiba lang dito sa first and second procedure is sa first, i-insert yung foreign genetics sa sperm or eggs, while yung sa second procedure naman is sa somatic cells or any cells except lang sa sperm or eggs. So, this procedure is, yun nga, ang purpose niya is to correct some genetic defect. So, that's it. So, next is the role of genes in heredity to be reported by Ms. Kuyong.
The role of genes in heredity. The heredity information is contained or within the genes located in the chromosomes of each cell. An inherited trait can be determined by one or by many genes, and a single gene can influence more than trait. A human cell contains many thousands of different genes in the nucleus. So, ang heredity information, ibig sabihin nito ay ang nilalaman ng mga genes na matatagpuan sa mga chromosome ng bawat cell. So, ang bawat genes ay nagdadala ng isang sulong unit ng impormasyon. Ang inherited traits naman ay ang mga ugali ipinapasa mula sa magulang hanggang sa kanilang supling. So, ang example ng inherited traits are eye color, hair color, skin color, freckles, and dimples. Heredity is the passing on of traits from parents to their offspring, either through asexual reproduction or sexual reproduction. Heredity meaning ito ay ang pagmamana na tumutukoy sa pamana ng genetiko na ipinamana ng ating mga biological na magulang. Example ng heredity is the likelihood that you will have a blue eyes. Mahalaga ang heredity sa lahat ng nabubuhay na organismo dahil tinutukoy nito kung aling mga ugali ang ipinasa mula sa magulang hanggang sa anak. Heredity factors known as genes are thought to exist as discrete portions known as loci of chromosomes. The term discrete refers to the concept that genes are always at the same point or locus on the chromosomes. Pairs of genes that exercise such as parallel control over the same trait are known as alleles, which are of two kinds, dominance and recessive. So, two kinds of alleles are dominant and recessive. Ang dominant character ay kapag ang isa lamang na sa dalawang mga resipi ay naipahayag, maging ina o ang ama na may isang nangingibabaw sa isa pa. Kapag ang parehong mga resipi ay magkapareho at nagkaroon ng dalawang beses ay tinatawag na recessive na mga karakter o ugali. Genetic characteristics can be extremely complex and may require the actions of several separate genes to be expressed in the adult organism. Common genetic disorder. Down syndromes is a condition in which a child is born with an extra copy of their 21 first chromosome, hence its other name, trisomy 21. This causes physical and mental developmental delays and disabilities. So, ang Down syndrome ay ang sanhi ng trisomy 21. Ang tao ay may tatlong kopya ng chromosome 21 sa halip na ang karaniwang dalawang kopya sa lahat ng mga cell. Ito ay ang sanhi ng abnormal na paghahati ng cell sa panahon ng pagunlad ng sperm cell o ang egg cell. Sickle cell disease, SCD, is a group of inherited red blood cell disorders. Healthy red blood cells are around, and they move through small blood vessels to carry oxygen to all parts of the body. In someone who has SCD, the red blood cells become hard and sticky and look like a C-shaped farm tool called sickle. Sickle disease ay isang karamdaman sa dugo na isinilang ang isang bata na ipasa ito sa mga genes ng mga gulang. Ang batang may SCD ay gumagawa ng isang hindi normal na uri ng hemoglobin. Ito ang protina sa pulang selula ng dugo na nagdadala ng oxygen sa lahat ng bahagi ng katawan. Phenylketonuria or PKU is a rare inherited disorder that causes an amino acid called phenylalanine to build up in the body. PKU is caused by a defect in the gene that helps create the enzyme needed to break down phenylalanine. Ang phenylketonuria is ang sanhi ng isang depekto sa genes na makakatulong lumika ng enzyme na kinakailangan upang masira ang phenylalanine. Nang walang kinakailangang enzyme upang maproseso ang phenylalanine, isang mapanganib mabuo ang maaring mabuo kapag ang isang tao ay may PKU ay kumakain ng mga pagkaing naglalaman ng protina o kumakain ng aspartame ay isang artificial na pangpatamis. Hemophilia. Hemophilia is usually inherited bleeding disorder in which the blood does not clot properly. This can lead to spontaneous bleeding as well as bleeding following injuries or surgery. Blood contains many proteins called clotting factors that can help to stop bleeding. Ang hemophilia ay sanhi ng isang pagbabago sa isa sa mga tagubilin para sa paggawa ng mga protina ng faktor ng pamumuo na kailangan upang makabuo ng isang pamumuo ng dugo. Each of our gene codes contain unique protein, and each protein has a separate and distinct function to perform in the cell.
Effects of genes in our environment. Genes are inherited, but their expressions can be modified by interactions with the environment. Genetic traits are determined largely through the precise information found in cells' gene structure. So, sa ibang living organism, may role yung environment sa kanila, and may effect din to sa kanilang genes, which is in order to function the way they were. Mostly sa plants to and animals na nangyayari. So example nito these are the effects. Effect in the light or chlorophyll production. Most plants have their genetic ability to produce chlorophyll. They will do this in the presence of light. Without light, these plants produce only a light yellow pigment, therefore appear pale and sickly until they are exposed to light. So sa plants, may role yung sunlight sa kanila upang ma-produce yung chlorophyll, which is nagbibigay ng green color sa plants. And pag di naman nasisikatan ng araw, they appear to be light yellow, yung parang lalaya. So, Next is effect of temperature on hair color in the Himalayan hair. In their native Arctic environment, Himalayan hares have their white body hair with black hair on their extremities. However, when raised in warm climates, they are on further study, scientists shaved off some hair of the hare's back and strapped an ice pack onto the bear's skin. This experimental condition showed the hare's hair grew back black, including the role of the environmental temperature in the production of hair loss in this species. So dito sa animal na Himalayan hare, normally ang environment nila is Arctic, which is yung snow. Kumbaga. So sa Himalayan hare naman is yung hair nila sa katawan nila is white, and yung sa mga limbs or extremities is black. Kung sa warm weather naman or warm climates, yung hair sa katawan nila is mostly white. And sa experiment ng mga scientists, tinry nila na i-shave yung hair sa katawan ng rabbit, and tinry na lagay ng ice pack to see if may effect ba yung cold weather or yung coldness ng ice pack sa hairs nila, which is may results, and it grew as black. So yun, may effect yung environment sa katawan nila and also sa hair nila. So gene mutations. Genes are segments of DNA molecules. Gene mutations are passed to every cell that arises from the mutated. If the mutation occurs in somatic body tissues, its defect is limited to the tissues immediately surrounding the mutated cells. DNA is the polymer made up of repeating chemical unit known as the nucleotide. Thousands of units are known to comprise a single DNA molecule, making it one of the largest of all organic compounds. DNA exists in hundreds of thousands of net millions of different forms depending on the precise arrangement of nucleotides in the molecule. Its variability is the key to genetic variation in living things. So, yun nga, yung genes daw ay segment ng DNA molecule. Basically, part siya ng DNA molecule. So, second is, yung sa gene mutations is process siya ng ng change. So, yung gene mutation is parang process of transferring to other cells, and kapag yun napunta sa tissue is magkakaroon siya ng defects. So, sa third bullet is yung sa DNA is yun nga, made up of polymer daw yung DNA, meaning nagko-consist siya ng large molecules or macromolecules, tapos may repeated subunits, and so malaki and madaming molecules, and ang tawag doon is nucleotide. Since polymer nga siya, edi na-consider siya na largest of all organic compound. And lastly, nag-i-exist daw yung DNA ng hundreds and thousands of different forms. So, depende sa arrangement ng nucleotides sa molecules. So, yung results niya is, kunwari, as a human, nagva-vary dun sa changes na nangyari during gene mutation sa cells. Kaya, tinatawag ito siya na ketogenetic variation. DNA nucleotides themselves are quite complex, composed of 3 separate subunits. First is the phosphate group, a chemical group made up of phosphorus and oxygen. Second is deoxyribose, a 5-carbon sugar made up of carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. Third is nitrogenous base, a chemical unit composed of carbon, oxygen, hydrogen, and nitrogen. Bases found in DNA are adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. So, dito sa subunits ng DNA nucleotides is iba-iba yung contents nila. So, dito sa una yung phosphate groups is nagsaserve siya as ladder pag titigan mo yung structure sa DNA. And yung nasa sides, then nakakonect siya sa deoxyribose or also called as pentose sugar. So, sila ang responsible ng structure ng DNA. So, pag connected na sila, may ability na to na mag-store and transfer ng genetic information. So, yung nitrogenous base naman is responsible sa pag-build up ng DNA and RNA. May nuclear bases yung ATCG, yung nasa baba, na nag-aalaw sa DNA na mag-replicate. DNA code. The chemical structural properties of DNA are the basis of how the genetic information that underlies heredity is both encoded in genes as a string of molecular bases and replicated by means of template. DNA is a complex organic molecule composed of thousands of repeating nucleotide molecules, and that each free nucleotide carries with it one of our nitrogenous bases. DNA strand provides a template pattern for the formation of messenger RNA. The DNA code is transcribed by mRNA and later synthesized in a pattern complementary to the DNA strand. Transcription is the process by which the DNA is transferred to mRNA code. DNA is not merely a molecule with a pattern. It is a code, a language, and an information storage. So, yung sa first bullet is nagre-refer siya sa ATCG, yung nabanggit kanina. And kung paano yung genetic information ay na-insert sa genes and kung paano yun mag-replicate through that template or pattern. Yung pattern naman is tinutukoy ito yung base pair, yung adenine to thymine, tapos cytosine to guanine. So, yung pattern, ang purpose nun is mag-serve ng way para ma-form yung mRNA. Ang mRNA naman is responsible siya in reading genetic informations if yung pattern is complementary sa DNA strand. So, pag complementary, edi ma-replicate yung DNA. So, sa transcription naman, isang role nito is mag-decode. Kapag na-read na ng mRNA, then ita-transfer na siya. So, yung DNA naman is hindi lang siya yung molecule with a pattern, yung parang noodle-like structure. Ano to siya, yung code and information storage about sa isang organism. So, yun. The genetic code. Every organism requires a set of coded instructions for specifying its traits. For offspring to resemble their parents, information must be reliably transferred from one generation to the next. Hereditary is the passage of these instructions from one generation to another. DNA replicates itself when chromosomes replicate in the early stages of cell division. DNA passed from generation to generation during reproduction and acts as a genetic factors. DNA interacts with cells' chemical factory and produces the observable effects of the phenotype when genes are inherited by a cell or an organism. DNA regulates the production of enzymes in the cell and thereby enables the cell to perform the complex cellular chemical reactions necessary to sustain life. Stem cell therapy focuses on the use of stem cells to treat or prevent a disease or condition. Stem cells are a special breed of cells that are capable of differentiating into more than one kind of tissue. Stem cells are used for curing various diseases such as diabetes, arthritis, few cancers, and bone marrow failure. So, genetic code or offspring na. So, to specify these traits, kailangan daw ng merong code or instructions. So, yun yung DNA code, dun manggagaling para ma-specify yung traits ng organism. So, para ma-resemble ng offspring yung parents, kailangan yung genetic information ay transferred reliably. So, yung heredity passage nga, siya ng instruction and nag-replicate daw ang DNA kapag replicate na rin yung chromosome sa stage ng cell division. So, first bullet is yung DNA is nagpapass siya from generation to generation during reproduction, mainly sa sex to offspring. Genetic factor din siya kasi pag may sakit yung parent, pwede din mapas yung sakit sa offspring niya and magkakaroon ng risk din. Second is, so yung DNA daw kapag nakikipag-interact sa chemical factory ng cell and doon nagpo-produce ng observable effects ng phenotype, mainly yung physical appearance, kapag na-inherit ng cell yung genes nung origin. So next is, so yung DNA daw nire-regulate daw ng production ng enzyme sa cell para ma-perform yung complex cellular chemical reactions role, kasi yan ang enzyme para mapabilis yung chemical reaction to support life. Example nito is nagbe-build ng muscle and nagde-destroy ng toxins para ma-sustain yung life. And lastly, I'll make it simple lang para sa stem cells. Yung stem cells daw is good for the body kasi gumagawa to ng new cells upang mapalitan yung mga lost or damaged na cells. Kasi importante kasi ang cells to make up the body.